Out of position with these kinds of effective stacks. I feel like it might be a little bit tight. I'm just gonna fold. The structure in these 180 man $4.50 sit and goes is pretty slow, so okay, with this stack distribution I can raise this. Call this guy's shove. Or just take it down. Already had some lag problems. I think I timed out with ace jack once because of that freeze that I had earlier on. I've lost my time bank on this tournament here, which is kind of annoying. Those are very, very tight. So I'm going to lead here, just because it is a rebuy and we are in the rebuy period. I'm going to call this. And I'm going to flat here. Not an awful lot that we're afraid of. I want to keep these guys in if we can. This guy looks like he wants value. So I'm going to try and get my stack in by the river and put in a small raise here. I feel like if he's got an ace, he's going to call, but unfortunately he folds. That's okay. Pretty deep stacked with this guy, so I'm going to flat and hope for this guy to come along, even though he does look pretty tight. I'm going to shove this, just because I have blockers and because this guy is looks pretty absurd. I'm going to 3-bet this, check this. Expect to get a lot of folds here, but even if I'm called by this guy, Queen Jack suited does reasonably well against a 12 big blind calling range. No thank you. This guy doesn't fold to c-bets, so I'm going to try and keep the pot relatively small and let him bluff at it, because he looks pretty bluffy. No more action, so I feel like I can value bet now. I'm going to shove this. It's just this guy's so short and he looks so tight. Okay, so his check raise is 33%, so he could be doing this with any kind of draw at this point, or just as a bluff, so I'm going to call him one more time. I expect him to bet on the river fairly frequently. In fact, well, I don't really have that many hands on him, to be honest, so I can't really draw too many inferences on some of these stats that I have in my HUD. But when he makes it this small, obviously this could be an ace. Could also be a straight, but I hold blockers to that. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and call. See what he's got. Okay. Okay, no sense in let's see what this guy does. Okay, so I'm going to make it relatively small and just encourage him to come over the top, yeah. Nice. No information on this guy. I'm going to put in a small raise and see what he does. Pick up some equity. Okay. And we get there on the river. Time to get a lot of value from this guy, but I'm going to let him think he's got fold equity. And I was hoping for him to shove, but I think we probably got some value there against... yeah, I guess I lost out there. I could have probably bet bigger and got his whole stack, but that's okay. I just assumed that a guy this loose and fishy doesn't always have an ace in that spot, so I was trying to get as much value from the lower part of his range as I possibly could. This guy looks too fishy for me to be shoving into him with a hand that does that badly when called, so... And I'm not, like, raising to just over a min raise versus this guy, because he just looks too stationary. That's annoying. Bit marginal, but I've been pretty quiet on this table, so my early position raises should get a reasonable amount of respect, and I can call this guy's shove. Said he flats, which is kind of worrying, because he only calls... He hasn't called yet, I don't think, on the button. Yeah, and this is the sort of board that hits his flatting range quite a lot, so I'm just going to go and check give up here. Set mine here. This guy looks extremely tight, so I'm going to let the king queen off go. That's a bet. I'm going to bet a small amount here that's callable by a 9. But when I get raised here, I'm going to fold. Because he's not doing this with anything that I beat too often. I'm going to shove. Just because you get looked up so frequently. And I don't necessarily want to see a flop versus this many guys. And there's only 2 hands that I'm particularly scared of, aces and kings. I'll take a flip with ace queen for my whole stack at this point. Even though it's a slow structured tournament, like I say, I mean, you can get so much value by building a big stack and then just abusing the bubble. 7-5. Yeah. No, not deep enough. Okay, so we got 7 tournaments running. Nice. It's always nice to hit a set, especially when one of the opponents has the case queen, just to maximize the pain. It's the bottom end of my calling range. This guy's limping an awful lot, and he's limp. I'm going to shove this. Has blockers, getting pretty short, need to chip up, and not too fussed if he calls. And we get through. This guy... When this guy flats, I don't think a squeeze here gets through often enough to be justifiable. If it had been suited, I might have done that and then, like, shoved. I might have squeezed and then shoved with, if that had been suited, just because we're still in the rebuy period. And suited aces don't do reasonably well. Here I'm gonna three bet. Yeah, because none of these guys look particularly kind of like shove happy. And this guy I don't know enough about, and I want to start building up a dynamic, seeing as like I could potentially double through this guy. I want to start setting up a dynamic immediately. So I get paid off more frequently with my big hands. Okay, so here we've got some backdoor flush outs to the nuts. It's a standard kind of and make it value looking without betting too much. And we pick up the pot, which is nice. So we know this guy's like calling 3 bets out of position and then folding, which is going to be nice for us because now we cover him. Looks reasonably aggressive. Again, very small samples, but the thing is, when I've got small samples of hands on opponents displayed in my HUD, that doesn't necessarily mean I've got a small sample on that opponent. I've got these, some of these HUD stats are filtered by, let's see. Okay, this guy's not limping very frequently, so I'm going to limp behind rather than raising. So yeah, some of these stats are filtered by the approximate blind level, and also sometimes the approximate average stack that is on the table. So I can still draw some fairly solid inferences from them. Here I'm gonna bet, just because these guys look fishy and they could conceivably call me. This I'm gonna fold though. Pocket sixes with an M of 9.1. I'm going to fold this. Could make an argument for shoving it. I'm going to continue the aggression here. And just aim to get my stack in on the river if I improve. Just because it looks so strong. And versus these guys, I'm likely to get paid off quite frequently. At this point, I don't feel like betting accomplishes anything at all, so I'm just going to check. Nice. This guy I'm going to shove on. No, I'm not. I'm gonna make a pot size 3 bet. Just because he looks ridiculous. This was actually a misclick. I went to pot size bet it. This is unfortunate. We're not folding. Yeah, that was intended to be a pot size bet that put him all in. Instead, like a donk, I bet half pot with him only like 2 times that bet left in his stack, which is bad. So that was a misclick, guys. That wasn't me being a donk. Okay, we've got this guy. I was going to fold this just because we've got this guy. Yeah, my hotkeys are well and truly lagging, guys. I apologise. Because we've got this guy in the big blind. So